Hey there, guys. It's Mia here. I am so excited, as always. I'm excited about this topic today. It's high value women don't abandon themselves. That's what I'm going to talk about today. High value women, they don't abandon themselves. I wanted to do this topic specifically because I work with women who I call giants. They call themselves giants. And sometimes people ask me, what does that mean? Like me, what does it mean to be a giant? I want to make sure everybody's getting this. Uh, and and so I'm going to talk about what I've learned from working with incredible women over the years who have who are giants, who don't abandon themselves. Now, I will tell you this, that this is going to be a tough life, right? And it's going to be a tough life for you if you have been making excuses about showing up for yourself. It's going to be a tough life for you if you have been not giving yourself all that you deserve. If you've been betraying yourself in some way, this is going to be a tough life for you. Now, after more than 20 years of experience coaching, consulting accomplished women, there are there's likeness. There are things that I see over and over again that as a result of working with these women, they are high valued and they move a certain way. And I thought it'd be very helpful to understand that being high valued means very little as it relates to appearances. It's not your title, it's not your income, your handbag, or your home, or what a successful life looks like, actually, on the outside. To me, being a high value woman has a lot to do with your character, with definitely with your standards, with your decision making, and the way that you can show up for yourself. And that's what I'm going to talk about over the next couple of minutes. Value, I've always said, is an inside game. And if you agree with this live, I'd love for you, as you're listening to it, to write, I agree, Mia. This is clear for me. I want to make sure everybody can see this. All right. I think we're there. I think everybody can see it. I'm Mia Redrick, business and life consultant, and I wanted to do this live specifically so that I could share the perspective that I have on what do I believe high value women have in common. I've got a couple note cards. Y'all know how I do my note cards. Okay. So to keep me on track. And the very first thing that I will tell you that I've seen in working with high value women is that she has the ability to keep her word. That's like almost always the trait. So when she says she's going to do something, she does it. She does it. People can count on her because her word means something. So think about that. Like, she's credible because if she says she's going to do it, she is going to do it. And she's lived her life that way. That's been the evidence, literally. Her track record is that she stands by what she says. She does not, in my opinion, repeatedly announce her intentions without taking action. She is a master implementer. I identify that way. People identify me that way. She, I would say, understands every time she breaks a promise to herself, she weakens her own trust in herself. So, she has a goal that she has set. That's the goal. And that she knows that she has the ability, that she has the vision that she's been given, and she wouldn't be given that vision without having the ability to see it through. A high value woman keeps her word because of that. Keeping your word to yourself is one of the highest forms of self-respect, in my opinion. It is what I would say, it is not betraying yourself. And so many women are in a place in their life where they betray themselves over and over again. They betray themselves for other people and their goals and their intentions. They betray themselves by putting themselves last. They betray themselves by not being operating in their own power and being able to make a decision that can truly honor and change their life for themselves. They hide behind, asking their spouse or finding the right time for them to invest in themselves, for example. A high value woman, she trusts herself, and she understands also that everyone that she loves, they are the benefactors of her growth. And so there's no surveying what will make you great, because you know the seeds you plant bloom flowers and you have evidence of it in your life over and over again. Yeah. Okay. The second thing that I would say that I have learned about high value women is that she has clear boundaries. It's true. A high valued woman is, she's kind, but she's not easily manipulated. Okay, and I have found that to be true. She doesn't allow people to take her kindness or time, her generosity or intellect for granted. And that's important because it's very difficult to be high value if you allow those things to happen. Right? Does that make sense? Because you're diluting, in essence, the goodness of what it is that you're doing. She understands also that her boundaries are not a punishment, they reflect her values. She understands that everyone should not have unlimited access to her. Very important. This is something that it took me time to learn, but not everyone should have access to you whenever they want. She has the ability equally to release people, to release opportunities and situations that no longer are on her level, that no longer serve her highest good. And that's an important insight. And I hope that as you're hearing this, it gets you to think about yourself and whether or not you're doing some of these things. You know, a high value woman also understands, as it relates to boundaries, that she doesn't have to keep negotiating with what she already knows is misaligned. If it doesn't fit, if it doesn't work, she says no, and no is a complete statement. All right, somebody say amen. I know, I see you. Okay, amen, amen, right? The third thing I'd say about a high value woman is that she respects her time. Now, I've always said over the years that someone that doesn't respect their own time won't respect yours, right? And what it could look like is this person that wants to speak with you, but they don't want to pay you for your time, or a person that wants to speak with you, or wants you to set time aside. They want to pick your brain, and they don't value your time. They're not going to do anything with anything that you're telling them to do because they don't respect their own time. But I will say this, she respects her time. And because she values her time, she's decisive. That's one of the things that I have noticed is, like, there are people who they don't operate with any level of urgency for themselves, no level of prioritization for themselves. And therefore, they're always in a place of indecision. That's the difference. A high value woman is going to decide. She's going to make a decision. She recognizes time is money. She doesn't spend weeks or months, going back and forth around some decision when she already knows what she needs to do, what decision she needs to make her life better or greater. And that is the difference between a high value woman and a woman that has not yet decided to prioritize herself. Women that prioritize themselves practice decision making. Okay. A high value woman that respects her time, I'd say equally, she gathers the information she needs, she trusts herself, and she's able to move. So women that don't trust themselves don't move. They can't move because they don't trust themselves. So therefore, they need to go to someone, a friend, or a spouse, or they've got to find all the stars lined up and all the reasons to overcome before they can say yes to themselves. A high value woman that respects her time doesn't operate that way. She also, I would say, she decides not to need to be chased, persuaded, or repeatedly convinced to do what's right for her. And it is so true. I can tell you from where I sit, I have the opportunity and have had the opportunity to speak with thousands of women over the years who have had the distinct moment and evidence right in front of them. Maybe they've seen all of my testimonials, or maybe they know my clients personally who have created amazing results. And they were in a place where they could make a decision. maybe they were part of a training or webinar or something like that, and they wanted to be persuaded. You cannot persuade a person who has already persuaded themselves that they are not worth it. You know what I mean? They're going to tell you all kinds of things. And I want you guys to hear me on this. Going to say, time's not right, money's not right, whatever. When you meet a woman who respects her time and she's got to make a change now, she is a finder of things. And I always tell people when they say to me, I drop my cards. They say to me, Mia, I want to move forward. Let me figure this out. They find a way. They find a way, and it's just a different mentality. Not only does she respect her time, but she recognizes, I'd say, that indecision, it has a cost. And it costs you time, it costs money, it costs momentum, and it costs opportunities. And she understands that. Whereas a woman that does not respect her time doesn't understand that. And therefore, they're willing to take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years before they move, never really thinking about the costs, like what kind of life you could have built in that period of time. If when I speak with someone and they say to me, I want to work with you and I'll get started in 6 months, I already know this is a woman that doesn't respect her time. She doesn't understand her value, right? Like, hear me on this. No judgment. I'm just breaking this all the way down. If you've ever communicated these things, I think this will be helpful. A high value woman that respects her time, I'd say also, she understands that money can be replaced, but time cannot. And maybe I need to say that for those of you who are in the back, right? Like, she knows that money can be replaced, but time can't. And so often women act like that time, I have all the time in the world. Well, the time is now. I would say the fourth thing that high value women do differently is that a high valued woman understands and she knows that she is her greatest investment, period. This is my mantra every single day. I'm always betting on myself. Number one, because I keep my promises. You see, because if we look at all the things that I keep my promises. I value my time. I'm a decision maker. Okay. Think about yourself. Okay. She knows that she's her greatest investment. So she doesn't spend her life searching outside of herself for a plan B or safety net. Yep. You heard me. Yeah, I did say that. She doesn't. She doesn't need a plan B. She doesn't need a safety net because she has what we call determination, decisiveness, and she has decided, I'm going to do this. And once you make a decision, you're going to do it. She does not believe that a man is a plan. And when I mean that respectfully, doesn't mean that she's not in a healthy, beautiful relationship. But she doesn't see that her rise has anything to do with someone else. She recognizes that she's been given God-given talents and skills, and that investing in herself allows her to grow. And that is what allows her to bless every single person around her. And I meet women often, they will say to me things like, they'll want to work with me and they'll say, I need to talk to my husband. And I'm talking about being fully transparent. And I get that in relationships around, monetary donations that you're making or investments that you're making, right? Or whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like you're in an auction, right? And whatever, you want to be transparent. But then when we're talking about self-investment, when we're talking about, I want to grow myself and be a better person, I think that it's also very important to understand that when we're in a place where we're asking for permission to grow, women that work every day, women that have significant savings and investments, that a woman that cannot say yes to what she wants without going through another person, hear me, okay? That person has to say, yeah, you can go to law school or not. Are we kidding? Okay. She also understands that your job is not a plan, because it isn't. And I think that so many women have learned that in this day and time. that your job was your everything, your career was your everything. I have a client who 2 years from full retirement, let go. Okay, let go. Okay, and her job was her plan. And I think that people understand that, you're your greatest investment. Now's the time to create that transition for yourself. She trusts herself to develop the knowledge, the capacity, and the resources necessary to create her future. That's, to me, the kind of high valued woman insight, right? Like, she's like, I got this. I've been doing these things for 10 years, 20 years. I create results all the time. I can bet on myself. She knows that, I would say, the safest instrument she can make is the investment that strengthens her. Any investment that strengthens her, that is allowing her to fine tune herself. Okay. And that's the way she leans. She does not ask only how much does it cost. I have people who do not even ask me those questions. They have seen the results of what someone's created, and they are believers in themselves, and they just tell me what they want. And so I want to work with you. This is what it looks like. Then you'll talk to someone that is very price adverse because she is steeped in fear. She is doubtful about her own capabilities. She may not be or have built the muscle yet of being investment minded in herself. And as a result of that, that's what creates all the hesitation, all the questions, all the things that can create doubt. We're talking about the woman that thinks she is her greatest investment. She also asks, what will continuing without this solution cost me? Hello. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like I've always said to my clients, the reality is that when you create results with something, there's a comment here I want to block. When you create results with something, there's water. Okay. And what I've always said is I'm always going to go back to where there is water, right? Truth and integrity and things like that. Now, here's the thing. Imagine this for a minute, because this might be easier to understand. If you work with someone and you didn't have any products, and as a result of working with them, you now created a product that you sell for 10 grand, and you've sold that product at least 10 times, and you made $100,000. I mean, I have an example. I have a client who wasn't selling anything high ticket at all, was just offering a service. I helped the client build a roughly a $3,500 product. The client, it reduced the client's actual delivery of services by 70%. They no longer had to run the traditional business in the same way, because the money that they made working with me replaced 70% of the income, right? So so that's pretty significant. And when it was time for that person to make a decision about renewing, they were looking at they were going around how much the investment would be. And I was like, well, first of all, you made an investment, you got all of your money back. How many things have you ever done and got 100% of your money back? And she was like, that's interesting. Never thought of it that way. See, I'm just trying to explain this to you. Like, high value people understand, like, I invested, let's say 10,000 and I made 100,000. They're pretty crystal clear about that. They also understand that if I invested 10,000 and I made 100,000, I probably could invest another 10,000, make another 100, or maybe scale that 200. Right. So that's the mentality. Whereas people who don't think that way typically are thinking like, I got it, what I'm saying, in opposed to like compounding the success they created. I'm talking about high value people. A high value woman is also, she is a consistent student of life. Facts. Okay. She is always elevating her thinking, her decisions, her environment, her network, her actions. She also, I would say, is willing to examine herself honestly. You know what? I didn't put in the work. I don't like being on camera. I've got to work on this or that. She works on her internal issues that could be interfering with the life she says she wants. She faces herself because we have to, right? She looks at what she's practicing. A lot of times people are practicing staying stuck, being afraid, not showing up. You know what I'm saying? And they practice it so much that they don't look at the fact that it's like, are you implementing? No, not implementing. Are you consistent? No, not consistent. Are you doing the work? No, not doing the work. But I'm stuck. You're stuck because you don't do these things. Does that make sense? So being able to understand, we're talking today about high value women and how they show up. And a high value woman is a consistent student of her life. And she is not ashamed to receive mentorship, guidance, or strategic support. Now, I'm going to break this down. There are women who get mentorship and they don't want anybody to know about it. You know what I'm saying? They think that if their clients know that they have mentors, that it will diminish them in some way. See, a high value woman doesn't think that way. She is the example. She leads from the front. You guys know over the years, I've had tons of great, amazing mentors. One of my favorites is Dan, the best mentor I've ever had. And I happily talk about it because it made a difference. See, a high value woman that invests in mentorship is secure in herself. And that's important. Being intelligent doesn't mean that you should have figured out everything alone. And I think that's a misnomer. I think that is something that, unfortunately, people who are very small-minded, a lot of women who have fragile egos, a lot of women, they lead with a big thing, but they want you to think like they're the ones that did it all, or you have to believe that they're the ones that did it all. And what I've learned over the years is, man, like all of the deposits of the investments that I've made over the years have made me who I am. That's the sum of who I am. And I openly and proactively every day look for opportunities to invest in myself. I believe equally that smart women know the value of the right perspective. And sometimes the right perspective isn't just like tactical things. It's not always, I help my clients a great deal in advisement and private advisement to see themselves fully, because sometimes the thing that gets in the way of standing in your value is not really being able to fully see who you are, what you bring to the table. I think it's also understanding you've got to have a mentor that really holds you accountable to your light. Sometimes when you are really sharp and smart and accomplished, and you're just so used to people saying yes to every element of what it is that you do, and how you show up. It's like if I have a client that books a consult with me and they don't make the time to do it in a place that's where they should be doing it. Like they want to talk to me in their car. They like, I'm going to reflect that mirror to them and say, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, well, like imagine you want to grow your business to 6 figures and you didn't plan, right, for the success you desire by making the time you need, right, to really be fully present to move your life forward. Okay, maybe, just maybe, having a mentor that holds you accountable to how you show up for yourself is what you need, in addition to the strategic and tactical things that allow the business to grow. A high-value woman, in my opinion, and of the women I've worked with, she does not abandon herself. And y'all know I talk about self-abandonment a lot. She doesn't repeatedly sacrifice her future for short-term pleasure. It just doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm playing the long game. I'm playing the long game. She doesn't prioritize vacations or appearances or temporary validation while neglecting what could create lasting independence. And let me say this, that I'm all about doing what you got to do and having fun and all that. But I have also felt over the years like I wanted to build the life I want to come home to, not a life I want to escape. And I think so many people have this relationship with like getting away as like the ultimate reward when you can build a business that allows you to live life on your own terms, and you just won't even relate to getting away that way because you can go away whenever you want to. Beaches are always there with water, and sunshine's available somewhere in the world all the time. Get yourself free, build the long-term peace. This is not about never enjoying your life. I think it's about refusing to use like temporary pleasure to avoid making the necessary decisions. It's almost like someone will say to me, I'm on vacation, so therefore they cannot do any work. Are we serious? There are people who are on vacation making power moves, right? Maybe with their team, or maybe journaling, or making that time. And this idea of when I'm done with this, I can do that is, abandonment. Okay. She doesn't put herself last and wonder why her dreams, never happen, right? Like, can you imagine? And then they don't happen, or everybody else's dream comes first, or you know what I mean? She's helping everybody else win except herself. She doesn't do that. And she shows up for herself before expecting the world to recognize her value. And I mean, I will tell you that for me over the years, I did a lot of things when I started as a mom coach, like nobody knew what that was, what it meant, or anything. And I showed up in that space, did the work before there were any customers, before the words even went together. And I built that brand. And I had to work on my thinking. I read for me, I did the work. I was consistent. I just knew they would come. I knew that what I was doing had value, and that there were women that had a need for what I was doing. And I wasn't abandoning the dream because I had to build it. I had to lead from the front. And I do think that high value women lead from the front in this way. How do I think this relates to business? I think that, imagine saying that you want to build six-figure coaching plus or a consulting business while being inconsistent with your actions. Like, think about that. Imagine for a minute that you want to hit $10,000, $25,000 more months, right? And you don't want to invest even $5,000 in a direct solution for yourself. Just think about it. All right. Imagine that you can not ask clients to make a bold decision while you consistently avoid making them yourself, right? Like, so many people want to, they want to ask somebody to do something they haven't done. And the reason that the clients don't believe you is because you don't believe you. See, your business will expose what you truly believe about your own value. So you only sell $97 things. I gotcha. You got 30 plus years experience. You only sell for 97 things. I gotcha. I understand it, right? So you cannot consistently receive revenue at a level that you're unwilling to embody. And it's really true. All of the clients that I have who are high value women, who will step into their value, who are asking now for things that they had never asked for before, they had to change. Your offer can be excellent, but your actions have to agree with the future you say you want. So you have an amazing offer. You just inconsistent. You don't show up. You're on vacation. You got a conference. All the things, right? I'll be right back. Oh, I'll be right there. Oh, I'll be right there. Okay, you can have the most amazing offer. But the reason it isn't selling isn't because it's not a great offer, perhaps. It's probably not selling because of how you show up, inconsistent. I think high value clients also recognize high value leadership. And what I've seen over the years is that the more I can lead myself, the better I can lead others. And I think a lot of times we don't think about our leadership this way. Like, we don't think that, like, it's your inability to lead yourself that's not attracting the people that you want to work with. They don't trust you because you don't trust you. Told you it's going to be a tough life. So here's the deal. I mean, there is a calling that's on your life. And When you focus on yourself, you create the clarity to recognize and answer the call. When you don't focus on yourself, you don't create the clarity to do the things that would allow you to operate with the gift. It's just that simple. And your professional experience was not accumulated accidentally. It's 10, 20, 30 plus years of you studying in school and then eventually practicing these things over and over again and being at the top of your game. The problems that you know how to solve all have value, facts. And your intellect really can become coaching, consulting, speaking, training, licensing, or another premium solution. But you have to be able to see the value of what you bring to the table. And your brilliance cannot produce income while it remains unacknowledged by you, like unpackaged or hidden, right? And you have to be willing to put your brilliance to work for yourself. And I say it that way because the reason that somebody's going to pay you, they're not going to pay you because you just know something. They're going to pay you for your brilliance, the problem you know how to solve at a very high level. And I'll say this as I close out, that a high value woman, she doesn't simply talk about elevation, her decisions prove it. Okay. And ask yourself, do your present decisions reflect the woman I say I am becoming? Okay. Right. Like, look at your choices, look at your investments. Do they reflect the woman that you say you're becoming? And what promises have I made myself that I need to keep? It's a really powerful question. Like I always say, like, I'm not going to betray myself. I'm going to keep my promises to myself. You can ask yourself also, where am I delaying a decision that I already know is right for me? And in many cases, I would say it might be a room you need to be in. It might be an investment that you need to make. It might be a coach you need to DM or call. It might be a conversation, right? And where are you delaying that? You feel it, you know it, it's in you. You hear it. You're like talking to me. When are you going to do something about it? Okay, in opposed to it being something you know and you feel. And ask yourself, I would say also, what would change if you finally treated yourself as your greatest investment? Because I think that the thing is, the secret really is, if you make a decision if you just step out of where you are right now and you think about who you want to become, if you make it, ask yourself, how would that person make the decision? How would the person that already has the result decide right now? And I promise you that will grow you, because it's those of us who step into our decision making from that perspective of say, okay, let's say you want to make $1 million or more, right? You say, okay, if I made $1 million or more today and I had that in my business, right? How would I decide? What investments would I make? Would I make this choice? How would I choose? Because I'm not operating from lack. I'm operating from my highest and tallest perspective. And that's helpful. And often people make a decision from their lowest perspective. And high value women don't do that. So look, today I'm hosting at 3:00 an Ask Me Anything Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to come, this is resonated with you in some way, you can DM or leave a message and we'll send you the details. And we're going to talk about how to honor the calling that's on your life and how to do that by packaging your expertise, your education, your experience into high value coaching or consulting. And if you want perspective on what you could package, this is going to be for you, or how to package or position or price, or, share where you are and see what the next steps look like. If that's you in some way, you can write yes here and we'll shoot you over the details for the call. So I hope that this has supported you in some way. Some of you, by the time you hear this, the Ask Me Anything will be over. But obviously, if I can help you in any way, if you have any questions for me, you can always reach out. Okay. And I'm here to support you with that. So I just wrote, that's right. Okay, yeah. So I'm Mia Redrick, business and life consultant. My only goal was to shake your shoulders, right? And I think this was a shoulder shaking live. Are there any questions or comments for me before we sign off? Okay, I see a couple over here. And are there any questions for me before we sign off? My only goal was to shake your shoulders here and talk about how high value women operate and why they don't abandon themselves. And I thought the best way to do it is just to break down how they choose, how they decide, how they show up, what they say, and all. And so you can see the congruency in that. I hope that this supported you in some way, and I look forward to sharing with you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.
I have been working with Mia Redrick for a couple of months now. I come to this experience with a lot of education. She was speaking my language from day one. What has changed for me is with all of the education, with all of the training and workshops and private coaching and things that I've had, what I didn't have was a real understanding on how I could package these things, price them, and promote them so that I could monetize what it is that I do and what it is that I wanted to do. And now with Mia, I have an understanding of how to take my tangible and intangible gifts, talents, and skills and put those things in a package that allows me to serve other people and benefit from it.
I was stuck. I never thought of my knowledge as something that I could create it as a proprietary system. What is the value of that? For me, it is priceless. And I'm so happy I made the investment because I can now see how my business can be transformed and how I can be transformed as a result of this work. So I cannot thank Mia enough.
Before I met Mia, I was selling my product for a very, very low price, and I did not just believe in what I was worth. So I had to change my mindset. I had to change the way I thought. I had to start believing in abundance and expecting it. And so these are the things that I had to learn as Mia mentored us. Now I'm happy to say I'm selling my product for what it's worth.
Before working with Mia, I couldn't sell a $297 product. After working with Mia for about 10 months, I was pitching a $10,000 product to a company.